evening or good afternoon, depending on where you're sitting. My name is Mara Köberle. I'm the Deputy Country Director of the German Chamber of Commerce in Nairobi. And first of all, I would like to ask you if you can hear me. Could you maybe put in the chat if it works? Yes, perfect. Okay, that sounds very good. So yes, maybe I explain you very shortly how that will work. Actually, here in the room, you can see them with me. I have two colleagues from the Nairobi side, and our last speaker, David, he's sitting in Luxembourg, so we will put him in through the camera. On the right top, you can see the speakers, and on the left here, you can see the presentation. You can hear me, but I cannot hear you. So if you want to ask any questions or say anything, please use the chat function of the event. So I will only give a very short introduction before my colleague Simar Singh from DG will take over. I'm not sure if everybody of you knows AHK or the German Chamber Network. So it's a service provider for German companies, and we're all over the world in 130 cities and have 45,000 company members. So maybe you're a member already, maybe you're not. What we do is that we represent the German private sector worldwide, but of course we work as well with other European or worldwide companies. We're a service provider and a membership organization. Here in Kenya, or as well in Tanzania, we have the German Business Association, where in Kenya we have around 150 members. It's our network, and we love to help companies and people if there's any problems, but as well if you just want to enter the market. Our our service portfolio is quite diverse. We do market entry support. So we give market data, finance. Today we talk about financing. We can do delegation trips for your company or as well for a bigger group. We provide market studies and do research. We have as well a vocational training department. Event management is one of the things we are doing, and further services like webinars. So I can see now that some people say they don't have sound. Do other people hear me, or is there no sound in general? Because if for me it works well, okay, so most of the people can hear me. So I would ask the ones that don't have sound to please check your sound, settings. Okay, thanks for the feedback. Most of the people hear me well. Apparently some have a problem. I hope you can still sort it out. Well, so far, that's it from my side. Feel free to contact me or to contact any other chamber worldwide if you have any questions on financing, but as well on other topics. You can see my email address here in the presentation. And as well, I think you got the invite from my side. So I'm happy to connect you further. I'm now handing over to my colleague Simar. And I put on your presentation. Oh, no, it's me.
Thank you, everyone, for taking time. And sorry for this bit of change. Thank you, Mara, for organizing the event. And welcome once again. I think today is a very interesting day, and it's exactly a day after another decision by Supreme Court to uphold the elections, a rerun, where Mr. Kenyatta will again continue to be the president of this country. And I think this marks a very interesting time for the companies that are looking for financing, as well as the institutions like ourselves that are looking for financing, different opportunities in the region. And I think this particular event results in the end of a political uncertainty that was kind of hindering some of the investment decisions, financing decisions by various companies. So we view this very positively, and we believe that this change will trigger a renewed momentum both in the investment and as well as in the general credit growth that will help us to grow along with other companies. So I think I'm Simar. Obviously, I represent DEG, which is the institution I'm going to talk a bit about and what we do in the region. And also, I represent in the region, but specifically, I'll talk about Kenya today. So just broadly, I think there has been a lot of concerns about the overall situation in Kenya for the last few months related to political instability. Also, there was a continued long drought situation, which further slowed down the growth. But what has been very obvious from all these developments is that Kenya's economy continues to be very resilient and still continue to see heavy, very sustained growth of 5-6%. And we believe that this momentum will only grow to a 6 or 7% number in the 2018 and 2019, and we view this very positively. So where we fit in all this, DEG continues to be very aggressively looking for opportunities, although Kenya has a very strong financial sector and banking sector, where you can find opportunities to find financing quite easily. But also we work as an institution in a way that helps to fill in the gaps that are not possible through the banking sector. So I'll talk some of those things today. So I'll just flip through the slides. So broadly, we support investments into the emerging markets as a DG. Our customers tends to be small and medium enterprises and some of the German institutions. We look for investments that comply with the international standards from environment and social perspective. And additionally, we have certain support and grant programs from the government to look for companies that are looking for kind of capacity building issues or look for grant funding to work on certain areas that help them to improve their bankability. As a journey on facts and figures, we were founded in 1962. We have 539 employees and based in Cologne. We have a portfolio of about 8.6 billion and new business of 1.6. I think the very for interest today is that in Africa tends to be extremely important market for us. And in 2016, we invested 21% of our total, about 350 million euros in the broader East African market. And I'll talk about where we focus. So we are part of the larger KfW banking group. I think this is more interest for today's audience. So we focus on four more main areas. One is the corporate. So if any business that is looking for financing in East Africa from an equity or debt investment perspective, and they're looking for hard currency loans, mostly in the range of 8 to 20 million euros or larger tickets, then we help these companies both in terms of financing, long-term financing up to 12 years with quite interesting interest rates. And also we support these companies with various capacity building measures. We have quite a substantial portfolio in this market in various service companies that develop, varying from FMCG products to plastic businesses, logistics business, etc. Then we tend to be very active in the project finance space. Kenya has obviously a very vibrant renewable energy industry, as you might be aware. There is wind farm business, solar farms, etc. There's a lot of interest from the government. So DEG is involved in financing of these renewable energy projects, both as a lender and also as an equity provider. We also, since our minimum investments tend to be quite large, we invest into funds and financial institutions, which Eva will talk in a minute. So these work as intermediaries for us, and which helps us to do smaller tickets, which is private equity funds and other banks and insurance companies that further give facilities to institutions. I think lastly, which is extremely important for us as a German corporate, since we are a German institution, and at the very heart of our mission is to help the German companies find financing when they are moving into any particular region. So in East Africa, this is important for us, and this works anyone. If the German companies are looking for setting up a shop in the region, then we help them with various financing facilities. Also, if they have substantially large clients that are looking for acquisition of equipment or buying the equipment for them, then we can finance these local players to acquire these equipment from Germany. And this is all taken to be as a German business for us. I think our mission statement at heart, although we are a financial institution, it's very important for us that we add value and make an impact. And this is at very heart, being as a development institution, that we only work with projects where we see that the development impact tends to be high. The reality of the situation is that in this market, we have seen that most of the projects qualify to help provide more services, better quality products, education, health services to the people. And the Africa continues to be at the very heart of our mission. And we continue to look for opportunities in all these sectors. I think I would just like to briefly give you a view on DEG's portfolio. As you can see that in Africa, we have 2.1 billion euros that is totally invested. And this year we are expecting to additionally invest 400 million euros. That is disproportionately high for any investment company, where you have 25% of your balance sheet is in Africa. And this is because of the mission that we have. And we continue to view this region as extremely important. This particular slide gives you a view overall on how much exposure we have to East Africa, and this is about 606 million euros. And then this region is quite equally represented. In the last few years, we have seen that the focus has changed from West and South Africa to East Africa because of the whole commodity issues. The economies in East African countries continue to see strong growth. So that continues to be a focus area for us. I think this is just last slide really for me is to just give you a brief idea on what have we really invested in the region. So in Kenya, we have an investment into a mining company, which is a base sands, then a gas distribution business, a cooperative bank where we have a loan to the bank. Then there's another Diamond Trust Bank. Then we have a hotel business here, a fruit juice company, a geothermal plant, Prime Fuels, which is a logistics business in the region, then an energy supply, and a few companies connected to horticulture, wind resource, and insurance. So as you can see, our focus in this region is extremely broad, and we are looking for clients that are both trying to set up a shop or have existing business and looking for financing. I think this is broadly DG's working with. I'm sorry, there is a question. I'll just. Okay, hi. Sorry, I'm just going to read a question. How does DG see the solar PV sector? Any new PPAs which can be expected? What would be the feed-in tariff? Okay, great. So this is a very good question, and I think if we look at the history, there has been not a single solar PV project of utility scale that has been implemented. And that sometimes tend to be also seen as the future. The reality now is that the government has taken a view to finance roughly 4 to 5 40 megawatt solar projects. So far, I think 5 PPAs have been signed and 3 letters of support have been signed. And we see that although these PPAs tend to have a higher tariff, $12 I think that was part of the question. And there also have been concerns being raised whether this tariff will be revised in the future. So I think it's very hard for us to comment on what the government's position will be in the long term. But in the short term, we see at least 4 projects. More optimistically, I would say 5 to 6 solar PPAs, which are already concluded, coming to a financial close in latest by Q2. DEG is personally involved in 2 of these projects, and some of our partners have seen the similar momentum coming after the previous round of elections, that these letters of support were signed. So we expect that in the coming 3 to 4 months, most of the challenges around change letter of support will be dealt with, which means that we can proceed to financial close and hence maybe finally a utility scale project in Kenya. So I'm very optimistic.
Question: how big are these projects?
These projects are all of 40 megawatt size. We are lead arranger in both of these projects on the debt side.
They can't read the questions, so like maybe...
Sorry, the questions were, to what extent is DG involved in these two projects, and are we involved on the debt side or the equity side? So answer is that we are involved in two projects so far. Both of these we are on the debt side. We are a lead arranger on both of these projects. Sorry, there's another question. I'll just maybe take it as a last so that my colleagues can continue with the next. Does DEG have further capacity for solar PV on top of two projects? Yes, of course. I mean, I think we see it as a natural thing that we ended up in these two projects. But if there is more ability or more projects, we don't have any capacity constraints on these two projects. Or sorry, generally on the solar PV sector. But we have seen that there's a lot of other DFIs, FMO, AFDB, EIB are also very interested to work on these projects. So we see very strong kind of momentum coming from all DFIs to trying to work these projects. And since we work with our partners from what we call European DFIs in a collaborative way, we tend to work closely with them.
South Sudan, we can go on. Yeah, we still have time.
Does South Sudan? We were active a long time ago, frankly, but sorry.
No.
But right now, South Sudan is not on the radar. I'm sorry to say this, but we need to wait till the political situation improves. We still think that we are probably a couple of years before we see any real projects materializing there. The question was, sorry, does South Sudan exist on your current project map?
Okay.
Is there any other question? Okay, Mara, I'll take it up anything later.
So thank you very much to Simar. I hear some people have sound problem. I hope you can like check your, or maybe you're now with us, or like you check your sound systems. But I think as most people can hear us, we are going on now with Mrs. Eva Rösler from the German desk in Nairobi. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're fine, and I hope that most of you can hear me. So again, as well, thank you very much for taking your time for listening to us. And as well, thank you very much for AHK HK to organize this webinar. So you have heard now everything about DEG. So my part is to present you the German desk East Africa. Actually, just for informing you, the German desk East Africa was created as the second German desk by DEG. And nationally, I would just say the first is in Peru. So it's the first German desk in Africa. It was created in September 2017, and it's a partnership with the local bank, which is I&M Bank. I&M Bank is East African bank, I would say Kenyan bank, which was founded in '74, and since 2013 it is as well on the stock exchange market in Nairobi. I&M Bank is working in Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Mauritius. And yeah, now you may be asking yourself, why is the German desk created? So the idea behind is that usually when a German company is exploring new markets, it's very often through their business, export business, and very often it's via DG. And DG is focusing on providing financial support for, let's say, bigger tickets or bigger amounts. So these big ticket amounts, these transactions are existing. DG has realized that for small and medium-sized transactions, there's actually a big gap.
And this is the reason why the German desk was created. And together with AHK, DEG has developed this idea to establish a German desk to support trade relations between East Africa and Germany. And here in Kenya, as well, partly in East Africa, we have 3 strategic partners, I&M Bank, AHK, and DEG. So we put the need of the German companies and the local partners together and into focus. So on the first side, we have AHK, who is actually the international backbone of Germany's economy, making the networking, offering expertise, connection for all companies to work in, this case with Kenya or East Africa, but via AHK, you don't have financial solutions. And on the other side, local banks, they have very often close relationships to local business and as well to some multinationals, but very often local companies or the local, let's say, businesses or the German businesses don't have the possibility to come together with international. So this is something that has to be created, this kind of networking together with AHK, supporting German and as well Kenyan business, and DEG together with the German desk and the local bank for promoting this new instrument for connecting and bridging financial gaps between partners when they do cross-border businesses. The German desk relationship manager, myself, is in this case the point of contact for you, and I connect products and services of I&M Bank as a local bank and the network and the support of AHK and DEG. So here you can see it on the slide. There's on one side I&M Bank, DEG and AHK, together creating the German desk, which is actually the first point of contact in East Africa, helping you for financial solutions and connecting Kenyan companies to German business to key closing ties between. For example, a German company wants to export to an East African company. The East African company wants to import. So the German desk can help to put together and to find a financial solution for the needs they have to make their business grow. What we do not do as a German desk, very important, we are not a simple provider of cheap interest rates. And it's not a one-dimensional project. We're not only supporting German companies, we would as well support companies having to do something with Germany. For example, I don't know that one of the directors from Germany, for example, connecting with Germany. And we do not provide market studies, and we do not advise. This you have to find via ODEG. This is very, you have as well this connection, but it's not us doing this. So I have a question here. I've seen there are 2 actually. Yes, Caroline asking, do you also support the East African companies willing to import and they don't have the funds? Meaning you need finance. Actually, it's called financial support is one of my that I help with tenants. So depending on the amounts, it's or via the local bank, which is I&M Bank. Next question, Mr. Winfried Now. Are you also doing matchmaking between German and local partners? Yes, this is as well one of the that I have as German desk manager. So the next question is regarding sound, so I cannot I'm sorry. So next slide for you to know what is the German with DEG strong partnership. So you have always the 3 partners together. What we do, we create close relationships between a strong bank in East Africa, I&M, local business community, the delegation of German industry and commerce, AHK, and the DEG office in Nairobi taking care of East Africa. And what we would like to do is to bridge cultural and financial. This in Egypt. What are the criteria to get? So this is actually a double question. because what kind of support I would ask in this case, financial support or networking support or connecting support. So just send me an email and we talk about it. So I would connect you then to whoever to help you. Okay, do you also support companies in Ethiopia doing business with our company but currently suffering from forex problems? I believe we don't, as far as I've understood. So in this case, I'm very sorry, we will not be able to connect you in this case. So I think...
But DG can provide financing in Ethiopia in Forex.
Okay, but please connect with DG because Mr. Singh will be able to be more than you. If not, you will get the end. So Nafali Yaju, please don't hesitate and contact DEG here regarding your question. Yes, as I told you before, actually the German desk, second German desk. So the first was done in Peru. Then we have a new German desk since October in Lagos, in Nigeria. And there's foreseen German desk as well in Jakarta, Indonesia. And for next year, there will be a German desk solution. So you will be covered everywhere. Next question, are there any experiences with German companies in Tanzania? Right now, depending what kind of experience you mean, there is German here to help you. And yes, there are. Mr. Ulmer. Often, Mrs. Charlotte Koch, often the challenge to get green financing of the Kenya. I don't think so. I'm very sorry. Now you do of understanding between I&M Bank and the delegation of DEG who was here. We have the German embassy present, and we have the CEO of I&M Bank signing. So this is actually already the end of my slide. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, great. So good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having us today. And today I'm gonna talk about our innovative solutions to help you make payment easy, instant, low cost in Africa. So I think I'm not sure which stage your businesses are right now, whether you're thinking about expanding your business into Africa from the beginning. And one of the things you need to prepare is how to efficiently send money into Africa. And when you are starting to make sales in the local African countries, you need to start thinking about how to repatriate your revenue from Africa. Today, I would like to share with you how our company, BitPesa, is using the cutting-edge technology to make business payment easy, instant, and low cost in Africa for business. So my name is David Yan. I used to live in Nairobi for 3 years, where I started my career with Barclays Bank in Kenya as innovation manager to look after how we can work with fintech startups and companies to help the bank to innovate. I'm currently the head of global strategic partnerships of BitPesa, based out of our latest office in Luxembourg, which is very close to Germany. So today, in the next 15 minutes, I will spend around 10 minutes just to talk through our model and our current client portfolio and a little bit about our company. But most importantly, I want to leave the floor to ask you to have you ask questions about how, what are the pain points you probably have when it comes to payment in Africa, and what kind of solution you're looking for, and whether we can help you with that. So I'll briefly cover our innovative solution, and let's get started. So probably you have used the current system, probably you haven't, but in the current system, one of the things you need to know is a lot of businesses actually use banks or brokers to send money. Banks are great in a lot of situations. Like, right now in Europe, you have instant SEPA settlement coming up by the end of this month, so that you can actually send money across the border from Germany to any European countries almost instant. However, in Africa, there are 56, sorry, let me go to the next slide. So, however, in Africa, there are 56 countries with its own currencies of each country. And each country has its own payment system, and they are not connected directly. They are connected to each other through the middleman called correspondent banks, which is predominantly right now, settle payments from Africa to the world is done via Citibank and Standard Chartered Bank. And most importantly, they are using US dollar as the middle currency to settle payments. So when you're moving money from a German bank, let's say Commerzbank, to a Tanzanian bank, let's say CRDB, it looks like from your perspective, it's a very straightforward currency conversion between euro and Tanzanian shilling. But actually on the back end, it's much more complicated and it's actually manual process. So they could go through up to 4 correspondent other banks in the middle, which that's why there's a few issues here. The first issue is that normally the fees are quite high and in most situations are hidden. So you actually cannot predict how much money you'll be credited in your local bank accounts in Africa when the whole transfer is done. And processing time normally takes long, and sometimes in a country where central bank doesn't have enough dollar reserve, which is less a problem in East Africa, but in countries like Nigeria, in Angola, in Ethiopia, where you don't have enough dollar reserve, then basically your local revenue will be stuck, and you cannot move the revenue back to your bank accounts after 60 days, etc. And BitPesa is set up to solve this problem, and this is how our model works. We don't use correspondent banks in the middle to settle payments. Instead, what we are doing is we own our bank accounts all over the world, including Europe and Africa. And we receive and pay out currencies in a country locally, so the money actually never moves across the border. Now, the beauty about this setup is that you get paid locally instantly, and we receive payments from Europe in SEPA instantly. And the costs are much lower because everything is transparent, and the cost is much lower than the other service provider. And every process of the way is transparent and efficient. And beyond settle payments to bank accounts in Africa, we are also connecting to the popular last mile payment solution in the countries such as mobile wallets and cards. I will come to, so there's a question, does it mean the German bank has correspondent in Africa? So in this situation of European banks, they don't have their own branches. Like Commerzbank doesn't have their own branches in Nairobi or in Tanzania or in Nigeria. So they rely on each other, like local banks like IAM to settle payments. But they are all connecting through international banks, such as what I just mentioned, Citibank and Standard Chartered Bank, and they use dollar to settle the payment. Now, let's continue. So as an innovative payment service provider, what differentiates us from other service providers is actually we're using the latest technology. So a lot of you in Europe probably have heard of blockchain, have you heard of Bitcoin, and we are already using it from day one, 3 years ago when we started the company. So with this new technology, blockchain settlement, we're able to connect the continent and different currencies in Africa to much more currency pairs around the world. So you could imagine that you're able to make instant payment and low-cost payment to countries like Canada, China, India, Japan, just like almost instant. So you can make payment from Nigeria to China, Kenya to Japan, Tanzania to Dubai, in low cost and easy. And we're already using this technology to process the payment. It's much faster than the current system banks normally use, called SWIFT. And we have processed over $13 million in volume of this quarter. Now, when it comes to regulation, when it comes to compliance, it's very important for us. So our solution is trusted and backed by the regulators in Europe, where we are regulated as authorized payment institution and have European presence in London and Luxembourg. We are also a member of Central Bank of Nigeria and gain support from regulators in Uganda and South Africa. The most important thing in our solution is that we don't do cash transactions. So everything goes through a regulated and licensed bank account. So we minimize compliance and money laundering risk throughout the entire fund flow. And when we onboard customers, it's the industry standard how banks will onboard you and the documentation requested. Sorry, I forgot to click the slide. Great. So there are 3 questions is, are you using other currency than Bitcoin? At the moment, Bitcoin is the most liquid asset when it comes to the blockchain technology. So right now we're using it, but we're also exploring options like the latest one called Ether and XRP, which is one of Swift direct competitor called Ripple. Those are on the way. But right now we're using Bitcoin to connect to other licensed partner and broker across the world. Next, another question is Bitcoin, whether or not is Bitcoin a volatility a problem? No. So you don't touch Bitcoin at all. I mean, unless you want to. We also accept Bitcoin if you want to send us. But from the solution perspective, the client, the business don't touch it. You just enjoy the benefits of us using that technology to settle the payments. So the exchange rate we quote you is from end to end, from dollar or from euro directly to Tanzanian shilling or Kenya shillings, or let's say from Kenya shilling, Tanzania shilling to Chinese yen. Next slide is, I want to talk a little bit about our client portfolio. So we are in we have 5 offices around the world right now, 3 offices in Africa, and our clients are actually from all over the world and from different and diverse sectors, including money transfer companies, payment companies, multinational companies, Pan-African e-commerce. One of them is called Jumia, which is like Amazon for Africa. They are under a German company called Rocket Internet, and also travel companies like TravelStart. And if you want to have more information about our customers, feel free to go to our website, our blog, to look for testimonials or get in touch with me afterwards. Now, a little bit additional information is we are expanding very quickly to make sure that we can meet our client needs across Africa and beyond. We are also backed by high-profile VCs. Venture capitalists, such as Grey Crop and Team Draper and Plug and Play, who has invested in Tesla and Skype in their previous investment. And our solution is also featured in global media such as Forbes, Economist, and Wall Street Journal. We are African companies, and we have a very experienced and diverse and dedicated team members across 5 offices, in total 44 employees, to make sure that we deliver the best solution for you in sending and collecting money with Africa. So if you have any question locally, if we have local staff who speak local languages, Swahili in Kenya, in East Africa, in Nigeria, in Lagos, Francophone Africa, can help you with that. Now, if you want to get started, if the solution sounds right for you, feel free to register the account with us. There's no registry fee in working with us. Or if you have any questions or any more additional needs when it comes to payment or collecting payments from Africa, feel free to get in touch with me, and I'm happy to talk to you about what your needs are and how our solution can help you with. Now, there's a few questions. Question: when Bitcoin provides the transport vehicle, how do you mitigate risk for your customer? So as I said, Bitcoin for us is just a method. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is because we position ourselves as really we're using the latest technology to settle payments. So you are not going to touch Bitcoin whatsoever. Just like when you are using banks, you probably haven't, you probably, before I present the slides to you today, you probably don't even know that your payments are going through correspondent banks or whatever settlement technology the banks are using. But as an innovative payment companies, we're using the latest settlement technology called blockchain to settle payments. So you are not going to touch it at all. You are just enjoying the speed, amazing price, and payment solution from that. Now, next question is, so we are not promoting any investment for Bitcoin. For us, we are just using that as a payment instrument. Is the exchange rate at mid-rate? No. So we charge a commission on the exchange rate, and there's no transfer fee. So we on this slide, I put the percentage of the exchange rate we charge. So normally our rate are very transparent. When you ask us for a quote, we will give you, this is the mid rate, and this is the rate we charge. It depends on the volume, depends on the country. We charge typically 1 to 3% on top of the mid rate on the day published by the central bank of each country. Right. So you have very specific questions about Kenya shilling. Let's talk afterwards. Please get in touch. I'm happy to help you. And Louise have asked about license. Okay, let me go to the slides again. Yes, so we are licensed as authorized payment institution and regulated by United Kingdom Financial Conduct Authority. We passport a license for our top holding company, Luxembourg, that help us to have the European coverage. So we are licensed. That means we have, the money laundering, anti-money laundering policy, everything in place. So you are not expose yourself of any risk to do business with us. So a question is, do you need an account with us to be able to transfer money to dealers? Yes. So you would need to set up an account because we do customer onboarding.
So thanks, David, and sorry again for the technical glitch, but I'm glad that you are with us now. So we're coming to the end of the webinar, but I'd like you to ask some more questions if you want to. Otherwise, we are gonna send an email to all of you, to everybody who registered, with the contact details of all the speakers of today, so that you have the chance to individually get in touch with the persons that presented today. I just got the questions if you will get the presentations. Yes, the moderators are very happy to provide you with the presentations of today's chat as well. So we will just include them in the email, which we're gonna send around tonight or tomorrow. If we don't have any more questions, I want to thank you for your participation. And yeah, you maybe realized that it was the first webinar we hosted today, so some technical problems. I can promise that we will have more presentations and more webinars, so we will inform you, of course, and then hopefully there won't be any technical problems. So for the thanks, we got some feedback that it was a good job, and there were some questions as well that some people missed the start of the webinar. So as said, we're gonna send all the presentations, so you have all that content and you can get in touch with the presenters. Well, thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time here. Bye.